Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. My name is Maddie Clemens, and I am a Hy-Vee registered dietitian. I do go to Burn as well, so I'm usually at the 5:30 camp with my mom. So we spend a lot of time there in the evenings, and then occasionally I'll pop into a weekend class. But I just kind of wanted to hop on here today, talk about some good mood foods, talk about what a dietitian does, and how I'm going to kind of start integrating into the Burn community with my services. So I figured I'd give you guys just a little bit of a background on what I do and how I became a dietitian. So I went to Missouri State. I got my bachelor and my master of science in nutrition and dietetics from there. I also got my dietetic internship certification from there as well. And then I've also passed the national exam to become a dietitian. And then I also contribute 75 hours every 5 years to keep up with my credentialing process too and all. So super fun. I work at Hy-Vee, so I'm a retail dietitian, and I'm excited to kind of show you guys and talk to you guys about what we do as dietitians in the retail setting, just because it can be a little bit different than what you might see in a clinical or a food service rotation. So, why see a Hy-Vee dietitian? The number one thing that kind of sets us apart from other clinical dietitians or dietitians that are in the food service realm are that we help kind of pick out products at the grocery store. So, I get a lot of patients in my office that say, "Hey, I've just been diagnosed with diabetes. My doctor wants me to watch my carbohydrate intake. Can you point me towards some products that will help me accomplish this goal?" And so that's kind of what we do is we help definitely bridge that gap after they leave the doctor's office and then have to go find those foods. We also help with improving eating habits too. So we really like to promote healthy eating behaviors. How can we kind of help overcome those barriers? Or if you're experiencing any kind of pushbacks, those kinds of things, we help kind of go over those things and kind of break those barriers down too. As a dietitian, we provide medical nutrition therapy. So this is really helpful when we're counseling one-on-one with our patients, especially if they have a chronic disease state. So that's another big thing that we do here as dietitians is we still see patients like we would in a clinical setting, just in the grocery store, which is kind of fun. And then a lot of what we do is nutrition education as well. So I get a good mix of people that need that one-on-one nutrition counseling, and then I get some people that just kind of want that basic nutrition education. So I figured today we would kind of take some time. I could educate you guys on some good mood foods, and then we'll kind of dive deeper into what I'll be doing with Burn kind of here in the future. So we'll go ahead and get started. So today's topic is going to be those good mood foods. And we always kind of say that balanced food equals a balanced mood. So we know that balanced eating can positively impact energy levels. And research actually indicates kind of a strong link between poor nutrition and low mood. So to kind of boost our nutrition, kind of improve that nutrition, we always want to make sure that we're having a balanced plate that includes all food groups and also includes foods that are going to be nutrient dense as well. And as a dietitian, a question I get a lot is what does nutrient dense mean? And this is basically just meaning that these foods are going to be packed with vitamins and minerals. They're going to be packed with antioxidants. They're going to be packed with macronutrients that we need every day for our bodily functions. And so, one way to kind of make sure that we're getting all of these in throughout the day is getting them through the different food groups. So, making sure that we're getting foods from the dairy, vegetable, fruit, grain, and protein food groups is going to be really important. I always tell my patients if you can try to get at least 3 to 5 of these food groups during each meal, and then 1 to 3 of these food groups during each snack. So me, I eat 3 meals a day. I eat 3 snacks a day. So I'm pretty good at kind of spacing that out too, but we can always kind of help figure out how we can get those nutrient dense options into your diet as well. Okay, so the first good mood food, which I'm sure you all have heard about, are probiotics. So probiotics are going to be that live beneficial bacteria kind of found in our gut. And these are they come from a form after your body has kind of went through that fermentation process of food. So these help with bowel movements. They kind of help combat those harmful cells that can be produced by certain diseases. Something interesting too is that probiotics actually help boost serotonin. And serotonin is going to be that neurotransmitter that helps kind of regulate mood, appetite, and those kinds of things as well, including stress response. So Again, as a dietitian, it's really important to kind of put things in place and give you some practical recommendations. So, if I had someone that wanted to increase their probiotic intake, I would tell them to look into consuming things like kefir, pickles, sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt. Kind of some fermented foods are going to be those sources of that probiotic. Okay. And then moving on to number two are antioxidants. So we heavily stress antioxidants, especially if your body's kind of in that inflamed state as well. So antioxidants, they help prevent cell damage, which is kind of caused by free radicals or stress within the body. So what happens here is your body's kind of in that inflamed state. Those antioxidants from those foods kind of help come in and help reduce that inflammation as well. So usually we find antioxidants in things like fruits and vegetables, sources of vitamin C and vitamin E as well. So kind of thinking any kind of citrus for that vitamin C. Vitamin E is going to be more so like your nuts and seeds, different oils and things like that too. So to the right, we kind of have some examples as well. So again, heavily focusing on those fruits and vegetables, almonds kind of in that nut and seed category, and then a few kind of surprises here. So coffee and dark chocolate are other great sources of antioxidants as well. Okay, so kind of moving on to that good mood food number three is tryptophan. So tryptophan is a type of amino acid, so it is kind of found in that protein. And what happens in the body is that tryptophan is transmitted into serotonin. So kind of like we talked about earlier, that serotonin is going to be that neurotransmitter that's going to kind of help regulate our stress, our appetite, our hormones, and those kinds of things. And research actually indicates that low tryptophan levels are kind of associated with that depression, anxiety, and those kinds of things. So if we're able to kind of increase that in our diet, we could possibly kind of contribute to not being at risk for developing those types of mental health disorders too. So tryptophan also kind of known for helping improve those sleep patterns as well. And so if we want to kind of include more of those tryptophan sources, a lot of it's going to come from those protein sources. So things like chicken, eggs, beans, nuts, and seeds are going to be up there too. And then if you're kind of wanting more of a plant base, it's going to kind of come from things like the broccoli, the pumpkin seeds, mushrooms, those kinds of things as well too. So this is kind of a surprising one. Not a lot of people think about tryptophan, but it's just kind of interesting to think about how that kind of converts, that protein source kind of converts into that serotonin that we talked about earlier. Okay, so good mood food number four. This is one that I personally use myself, is magnesium. I found a lot of health benefits. I found a lot of people have really benefited from including magnesium in their diet too. So magnesium is the fourth most abundant mineral in the body and plays a critical role in your brain function. So even though it's super important, super abundant, a lot of people actually tend to lack this. And so that's where, again, we kind of come in and can kind of help figure out what sources to recommend to you guys so that you can kind of boost those levels as well. Lower levels, they've kind of seen that lower levels of magnesium are kind of increasing that risk for depression. It also may decrease levels of stress within the body and then kind of helps aid with the muscle cramps too. Big one here too is magnesium does help with your sleep as well. And we all know that improved sleep can also kind of be beneficial in our mood, our gut health. It can kind of help prevent some of those anxiety, depression orders from occurring too. So examples, we've got, again, nuts and seeds, so almonds, cashews, black beans, brown rice, soy milk is a big one, and then dark chocolate, again, they're kind of two. Okay, number five, omega-3s. So this is a heavily stressed nutrient that dietitians talk about a lot, especially again when it kind of comes to that inflammation. So omega-3s super duper important. They're going to help kind of contribute to brain signaling. They're going to help alleviate with that nutrition or the depression and anxiety, excuse me. And then we know that consumption of these is kind of linked to lower likelihood of depression and anxiety as well too. So omega-3s are an essential fat. So essential, we need to get them through our diet. Our body doesn't produce it on its own. There's three types. So we've got the EPA, the DHA, and the ALA. And the EPA is kind of what we want to focus on the most, just because that's going to be the one that's kind of helping prevent that depression, improving that mood as well. Some examples of the omega-3. So chia seeds, flax seeds. Fatty fish is a big one. So if you like to eat salmon, tuna, herring, those are going to be on that list as well. We do have fortified foods. So I know specifically at Hy-Vee, we do have fortified eggs that have omega-3s added into them. And then a supplement can always be an option as well if you know that you're kind of lacking those throughout your diet. Okay, so good mood food number six, I promise. There's only eight of them, eight or nine of them. So bear with me, guys. So number six is going to be folate. So you guys have probably heard a lot about folate, especially when it comes to women and pregnancy. So it's really, really important for cognitive function and brain health. And we kind of know that deficiency of this is linked to some neural tube defects, also kind of linked to that depression as well. And it is important to talk about the difference between folate and folic acid. So essentially how I teach my patients is folate is going to be that real version. So that's what your body needs. That's what your body needs to convert to other things, what your body needs to absorb versus folic acid, which is kind of that synthetic version. So a lot of the times you'll see folic acid in fortified foods, cereals, those kinds of things. And so we always recommend trying to get it in the most natural way before kind of going to something else, like a supplement. So kind of moral of the story there, sticking with a folate, kind of the more real version versus going to that folic acid, which is going to be more of that synthetic version. But more research is kind of needed on the relationship between folate and good mood, health, those kinds of things as well. But just to kind of get some extra folate in your diet, a lot of these things are going to be green leafy vegetables. So you see the Brussels sprouts, romaine lettuce, avocado and asparagus are on there too. And then we also have the beets. And then we've also got some black eyed peas too, are going to help you kind of increase those folate sources as well. Okay, and then we have selenium. So again, essential nutrient, meaning that we have to get it through our diet. Our body does not make it on its own. And selenium is going to act as an antioxidant. So earlier when I was talking about vitamin E, this is kind of, one of those nutrients that's associated in that category. So studies have shown that it may help prevent Alzheimer's disease, kind of helps aid in that oxidative stress, the memory loss, really kind of demotes that negative thinking and behavior as well. And then some examples. So a lot of the times, most people aren't thinking about how they can get selenium in, just because it's not usually talked about. But again, kind of one of those foods that will help with that good mood increase. And you can find it in things like cottage cheese, baked beans, lentils, fish, oatmeal, cheese. Those kinds of things are all going to be sources of that selenium. Okay. And then protein, the one that we all kind of focus on the most too. Um, so protein again is going to be built up of amino acids. One amino acid specifically that we focus on with the protein in the good mood foods is called tyrosine. So this is actually also converted to dopamine, which we all kind of know the purpose of dopamine and what that does to our body. It's kind of that feel good chemical, kind of that feel good release that we get after we do something. And so there's been some links of how that is going to help with brain function and mental health. And we can get protein from a variety of options. So I see people all the time that focus on kind of more of a meat base, an animal source, or they also want to focus on a plant base. So you can get these sources from either group. So some examples, kind of those plant-based are going to be like chickpeas, legumes, whole grains, and then those animal-based sources are going to be your Greek yogurt, your poultry, your beef, chicken, fish, turkey. Those kinds of things are going to be coming from that more animal-based source. Okay. And then lastly, so vitamin D, another huge one that a lot of people tend to be deficient in. Roughly about 40% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D. So this is kind of known as that sunshine vitamin, and it's produced by the body. So our recommendation usually making sure that we're getting the 600 to 800 international units each day. This can either come from being in the sunshine. So when people ask me how they can improve their vitamin D, spending about 15 minutes between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. outside is really helpful for generating that, as well as getting it from food. So it's going to be found in salmon, egg yolks, mushrooms, a lot of dairy products. So things like milk, yogurt, eggs are also going to be that good source of a vitamin D as well. Okay, so now that we've kind of talked about the good mood foods, we are going to talk a little bit about what I will be doing with Burn, kind of starting next week and kind of getting started with the dietitian. So um, first step is that discovery session. So this is what I'll be offering at Burn starting Tuesday, July 8th. And the whole purpose of these sessions is for me to meet you. You know, I only go to really one class time a week, so there's a lot of you that I'm missing and I probably haven't met yet. And so this is just kind of our time to meet, kind of talk about your health goals, talk about what I can do to help you achieve those health goals. And so just some details. Again, I'll be in the gym Tuesday, July 8th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then I'll be back again July 22nd from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. for those who weren't able to attend their first free session. These can be booked on the app, just like you would book a focus meeting. And so if you're having troubles with that, just reach out to Sherry. I'm sure some of the girls would be happy to kind of help navigate that for you. And if these times don't work, I can always meet you guys in my office. So I thought this would just be more convenient kind of going there when all of you guys are there. But if these times don't work, we can absolutely kind of meet outside Burn too. So once we've had that discovery session, you know, we're ready to kind of start taking things on, is when we get into that nutrition counseling step. So this can either be in person or virtual if you would prefer that as well. These are a lot different because they're very individualized for you based off of what your goals are and kind of what we talked about in the discovery session. So a lot of the times, this is where I'm helping people kind of think about if they've seen any barriers to achieving their goals, if they need that medical nutrition therapy aspect, if they kind of need me to talk about the foods that would be beneficial. So there's kind of a little bit of everything wrapped into these nutrition counseling appointments. Usually they last around 15 minutes to an hour. And the one huge thing about Hy-Vee dietitians is that we accept insurance now too. So a lot of these services are typically covered through your insurance. We do accept a lot of the bigger insurance plans. So UMR, UHC, Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna. So there's a ton of them that we accept now as well, or we can also do the cash pay option too. And then step 3 is kind of just going through and making sure that we're reaching your goals. So we'll kind of have that discovery session. We'll have our initial appointment. And then I also like to schedule follow-ups too, just to meet with you guys to make sure that everything's going okay. And if you're running into any problems or you have any questions, that I'm there to support you and help you as well. Um, and then kind of lastly, if you guys aren't necessarily interested in meeting for nutrition, we also do health screenings as well. So if you guys remember back in May, I did some health screenings that involved the vitamin D and omega-3. So we do those as well. And then we also do a cholesterol panel with a fasting blood sugar. And then we also do those A1Cs too. So if you are interested in doing anything like that, those are going to be done in my office. I've got some machines to kind of help speed up that process as well. Um, and then kind of before we close out too, I know a lot of NPs and PAs and doctors are at Burn too. So if you guys ever have an interaction with the patient and they want to see a dietitian, I would absolutely love if you guys were able to refer them to a Hy-Vee dietitian. We do have a pretty quick turnaround time. It's about 2 to 3 weeks to get in to see us versus sometimes it taking a little bit longer. To go through someone at the hospital as well. Another thing too, if you guys are in charge of your employee wellness programs or you know that your business could benefit from having a dietitian kind of come on and talk about things like good mood foods and our services and things like that, please reach out to me because we also do those as well. So thank you guys so much. I tried to get this done before a lunch break so you guys could watch it. But if you guys have any questions, there's my information. So I'm at the eSunshine store. My email is on there. And then this is our store's phone number. So whenever you call and you have questions, you can just ask for me directly. And if you have any questions about the presentation, you can message me directly. You can drop them in the comment section and I'll kind of go through and answer those as those come in too. So again, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. You guys are the best, the most amazing community that I have ever been with. And I appreciate everything and all the support from you all. So thank you so much. And I hope to work with you guys here soon.